In the journey of the Buddha, there were not only saints, but also nameless women who contributed to the greatness of the Dharma. One of them was Visākhā, the famous female benefactor of the Buddha, who not only donated her wealth, but also offered her heart full of love and resilience throughout her life. As a woman of wealth, power, and wisdom, Visākhā not only lived in material prosperity, but also found immense strength in serving and supporting the monastic community. However, few know that behind these great contributions was a journey filled with challenges, sacrifice, and patience. You may wonder, how could a woman in royal society live with such compassion and selflessness? Join me as we embark on a journey to explore the life of Visākhā, the woman who transformed compassion and wisdom into unmatched strength, creating a profound impact on the Buddha and the Buddhist community. Once upon a time, in the city of Padya, in the kingdom of Anga, there was a wealthy man named Mendaka. In a past life, during a time of widespread famine, he had made a spontaneous and pure vow to offer the last of his food, the final portion for his family, to an enlightened Buddha. Due to his selfless and pure-hearted sacrifice in this life, he received many extraordinary blessings, such as never running out of provisions in his household, no matter how much was consumed or given away. The crops he harvested from his fertile fields never ceased. Not only did he benefit from these exceptional blessings, but his wife, children, daughter-in-law, and servants, due to their shared merit, all enjoyed the miraculous fruits of these good deeds in the present life. This noble collective karma created a bond that allowed them to live together across many lifetimes. His son, Dhananjaya, and daughter-in-law, Sumanadevi, had a daughter named Visākhā, and this too was a fruit of past blessings. In a distant past life, Visākhā had made a vow at the feet of the Buddha Padumuttara, asking to become the foremost female benefactor of the Buddha and the monastic community. To fulfill this vow, Visākhā had to practice countless perfections with many past Buddhas to complete the paramitas of a great disciple. In this life, her practices reached completion, and it was time for her to receive the fruits of her vows. When Visākhā was 7 years old, the Buddha and the monastic community visited the city of Padya. Upon hearing the news that the Blessed One was coming, Mendaka said to his beloved granddaughter, "This is a joyful day, because the teacher is coming to our city. Gather all your attendants to pay respects to the Buddha." Visākhā followed her grandfather's advice, and along with the entire family, listened to the Buddha's teachings. At the end of the sermon, Visākhā, her 500 attendants, her grandparents, parents, and their servants all attained the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapanna. At that time, the kingdom of Anga was part of the larger Magadha kingdom, ruled by the devout King Bimbisara. When King Pasenadi of Kosala heard that 5 extraordinary beings had arrived in the neighboring kingdom, he requested King Bimbisara, his friend and brother-in-law, to send one of them to Kosala, so that the people of Kosala could be blessed by witnessing the example of such great virtue. In response, Mendaka's son, Dhananjaya, along with his wife and children, moved to Kosala and established a beautiful city called Saketa, near the capital Savatthi. There, Visākhā grew up in a devout family, greatly revering the Buddha and his monastic community. She frequently invited the monks to her home to offer them alms and to hear their teachings of the noble Dharma. In Savatthi, the capital of Kosala, there was a wealthy layman named Migara. His son Punavadana had come of age and was determined to marry only a woman who possessed 5 perfect qualities: beautiful hair, beautiful body, beautiful teeth, beautiful skin, and youthful beauty. Punavadana's parents hired a team of Brahmins to search for a young woman with all 5 qualities. Despite searching diligently through various cities, they could not find a girl who met all the criteria. On their way back, when they passed through Sakketa, they saw Visākhā, who was then about 15 or 16 years old. They were immediately struck by her flawless beauty. The only thing they could not see was her teeth. They decided to approach her to find out more. At that time, Visākhā was leisurely walking with her maids on her way to the river to bathe. Suddenly, a heavy storm broke out. The maidservants rushed in all directions to avoid the rain, but Visākhā calmly continued walking with grace and dignity. The group of Brahmins approached and asked why she did not run to shelter from the rain like the other girls. She replied, just as a king would lose his dignity if he hurried to hide from the rain like an ordinary person, a well-bred young lady should not rush to avoid the rain. Furthermore, a girl who is not yet married must know how to take care of herself, like one would carefully handle a valuable item for sale to prevent damage and avoid becoming a burden to her family. The Brahmins were deeply impressed by the young woman's words. They immediately went to her father's house to propose marriage for her to their master's son. Dhananjaya accepted the proposal, and soon the family of Migara, along with his son Punavadana, traveled to Sakketa to fetch her. Upon hearing the news, King Pasenadi and the royal family also accompanied them. Everyone joyously attended the grand wedding feast at the bride's house. At the same time, jewelers worked tirelessly to create numerous precious ornaments for the bride. 3 months passed, and the jewelry was still not finished. Meanwhile, firewood had to be gathered for cooking meals for all the guests. For 2 weeks, the family had to tear down old houses to get enough firewood. It still wasn't enough, so the people of Sakketa had to take clothes from trunks, soak them in oil, and use them to start the cooking fire. After another 2 weeks, the jewelry was finally completed, and the grand procession set off with great ceremony to Savatthi. Dhananjaya gave his daughter a dowry that included hundreds of carts full of silk, gold, silver, and many maidservants. He also gave Visākhā a herd of cattle so large that it caused a traffic jam in the streets. When the herd left the barn, the cows that stayed behind bit through their ropes to join the procession. People from 14 villages under Dhananjaya's control also wished to follow Visākhā to her new home, demonstrating how much they loved her. All the wealth and attendance she received were the result of the merits of serving the 3 jewels that she had accumulated over many lifetimes. Before parting from her family, Visākhā's father gave her 10 pieces of advice in the form of metaphors, reminding her always to practice generosity and offer the highest form of alms. He also sent 8 trusted advisors to monitor any complaints about his daughter. The 10 pieces of advice for Visākhā were as follows. 1. Do not bring fire from the house outside. 2. Do not bring fire from outside into the house. 3. Only give to those who give. 4. Do not give to those who do not give. 5. Give to both those who give and those who do not give. 6. Sit with joy and contentment. 7. Eat with joy and contentment. 8. Sleep with joy and contentment. 9. Carefully guard the firewood. 10. Respect the deities in the house. These 10 pieces of advice carry the following meanings. 1. A wife should not speak ill of her parents-in-law or her husband, nor should she share family disputes or flaws with others. 2. A wife should not listen to rumors or unwholesome gossip from other households, and then bring them home to tell her family. 3. One should only lend to those who can repay. 4. Do not lend anything to anyone who refuses to return what they borrow. 5. Help relatives in need even if they cannot repay. 6. One should be mindful when sitting. If seeing parents-in-law or her husband coming, she should rise to show respect and not remain seated. 7. Before serving food to herself, she should check if her parents-in-law, husband, and servants have been served first. 8. Before sleeping, she should inspect the doors and belongings of the house to ensure their safety, check if the servants have finished their tasks, and see if her parents-in-law have gone to bed. A wife should generally wake up early before others, and unless ill, should not sleep during the day. 9. Treat parents-in-law and the husband as one would treat fire. Be careful with them as one would be careful when handling fire. 10. Show respect to parents-in-law and the husband as one would to deities. When Visākhā arrived at her husband's home in Savatthi, people from all walks of life came to offer gifts. However, Visākhā was so kind and generous that she shared all the gifts with them, accompanied by sincere and warm words of thanks. She treated them wholeheartedly, just as she would the people in her own hometown. With her noble behavior, Visākhā immediately became close to everyone the day she entered her husband's house. One event in her life revealed her compassion even toward animals. When she heard that her prized horse had given birth in the middle of the night, Visākhā immediately, along with a few maidservants, lit torches and went to the stable to care for the mare with the utmost caution and care. Her father-in-law, Megara, a devout follower of the naked ascetic sect, never invited the Buddha to his house for a meal, even though the Buddha often resided at a nearby monastery. Just a few days after his son's wedding, to make merit, he invited many naked ascetics to his home for a lavish offering. When they arrived, he asked the new bride to come and pay respects to the arahants. Upon hearing the word arahant, Visākhā was overjoyed and hurried to the guest room, expecting to meet the Buddha's disciples. But instead she found only the naked ascetics, who lacked the dignified and humble demeanor she had hoped for. This sight, unfit for a modest young woman, was unbearable to her. She reprimanded her father-in-law and withdrew to her room, not attending the meal. The naked ascetics felt offended and scolded Megara for bringing a disciple of the Buddha into his household as a bride. They demanded that he expel her immediately, but Megara did his best to calm them down. One day, while Megara was eating a nourishing porridge made of rice mixed with honey in a golden bowl, a monk came to the door with his alms bowl. Visākhā, who was attending to her father-in-law with a fan, stepped aside to make sure he could see the monk and offer alms. However, Megara pretended not to notice and continued eating. Visākhā then said to the monk, "Venerable sir, please go to another place to receive alms. My father-in-law is eating stale food." Megara, furious at what he perceived as an insult, wanted to expel her from the house immediately, but the maid-servants refused to follow this order. He then called 8 trusted advisors to complain about his daughter-in-law. Visākhā explained that all the blessings they enjoyed today were the result of past good deeds, just as eating old food is a continuation of past consumption. Not offering food to the monks does not create new merits for future blessings. Hearing these words, the advisors concluded that her attitude was not wrong. After this incident, Visākhā informed her family that she wanted to return to her parents' house. Migara apologized, and Visākhā agreed to stay on the condition that she could invite the Buddha and the monastic community to her home for alms. Migara reluctantly agreed, but following the instructions of the naked ascetics, did not personally offer food to the monks. To maintain decorum, he appeared briefly when the offerings were made, then withdrew behind a curtain to listen to the Buddha's teachings. Miraculously, the Buddha's words moved him deeply, and even though he was hidden from view, he absorbed each teaching about the true nature of arising and existing phenomena, attaining the first stage of enlightenment, Sotapanna. Filled with gratitude, he told Visākhā that from then on he would respect her as his mother and called her Migara Mata, meaning Mother of Migara. He then approached the Buddha, bowed at his feet, and took refuge in the 3 jewels. The following day, Visākhā invited the Buddha to her home for alms, and on that occasion, her mother-in-law also listened to the Dharma and attained the first stage of enlightenment. From that time on, the entire family became devoted followers of the Buddha and his community. Over time, Visākhā gave birth to no less than 10 sons and 10 daughters. Each of them also had large families, continuing for 4 generations. Visākhā lived to the age of 120, but according to the commentaries, she maintained the appearance of a 16-year-old girl throughout her life. This was the result of her merits and the joy she experienced from constantly living in harmony with the Dharma, which filled her heart. The commentaries also note that Visākhā possessed extraordinary strength comparable to that of an elephant and could work tirelessly without fatigue to care for her large family. Despite being so busy, she always found time to offer daily alms to the monks, visit the monasteries, and ensure that the monks and nuns always had the 4 requisites: food, clothing, shelter, and medicine. Above all, she still found time to listen to and reflect on the Buddha's teachings. For this reason, the Buddha said, "Visākhā is foremost among the laywomen who support the Sangha of the Tathagata." The Vinaya Pitaka specifically records this event. One day, after listening to a sermon, Visākhā accidentally left behind her invaluable wedding jewelry, which was kept safe by the Venerable Ananda. She considered this unintentional mistake a reminder to create more merit, so she decided to sell the jewelry to raise money for food offerings to the monks. However, no one in the city of Savatthi could afford to buy it. In the end, she decided to use her own money to repurchase it. With this money, she built a beautiful monastery called Pubarama in the eastern part of the city, just outside the gates of Savatthi. A large preaching hall was erected in the center of the monastery, named Migara Matupasada, or the Hall of Mother Migara, which is frequently mentioned in the Buddhist scriptures. The Buddha often stayed there during the last 20 years of his life, just as he frequently resided at the Jetavana monastery, donated by the great benefactor Anathapindika. The Pali Canon records many stories from the life of Visākhā. Once some friends of hers asked her to bring their wives to visit the Buddha. Some of the women in the group were intoxicated, and as a result, they lacked the proper demeanor in front of the Blessed One. Taking this opportunity, Visākhā asked the Buddha about the origin of intoxicants that corrupt human morality. The Buddha then narrated the story of his past life as Kumbha. In a certain forest, there was an ancient tree with a large hollow in the trunk that collected rainwater. Fruits often fell into this hollow, and birds would come to peck at rice grains and perch on the tree to eat. While the birds ate, the rice grains would fall into the hollow. Over time, the rice soaked in the rainwater, exposed to the sun, fermented, and turned into alcohol. One day, a woodcutter discovered this fermented liquid, tasted it, and felt a pleasant, euphoric sensation. He returned again and again to drink and continue enjoying this intoxicating feeling. Before long, he became an addict. He even invited his friends and family to join him in drinking, and eventually, they started to manufacture and sell alcohol, passing this harmful habit on to others. If not for the intervention of King Saka, who descended to teach the people about the disastrous consequences of using intoxicants, all the people of India might have fallen into the vice of alcoholism. On one occasion, after Visākhā had sent some valuable gifts to her relatives in her hometown of Anga, the border guards imposed heavy taxes on her. She became upset and reported this to the king, but he was too busy with state affairs to address the issue. Visākhā then sought the Buddha's advice. The Buddha recited a few short verses that immediately eased her anger and frustration. Suffering is to have the mind subdued. Happiness is to master the mind. Those entangled in sorrow are often caught in such a state that bond is not easily escaped. On another occasion, Visākhā's beloved grandson Datta, who often helped her in making offerings to the monks, suddenly passed away. Visākhā was heartbroken. One midday under the scorching sun, she went to the Buddha and shared her sorrow with him. The Buddha asked her, "Visākhā, would you like your sons and grandsons to be as numerous as the people in the city of Savatthi?" "Yes, Lord," she replied. "Then Visākhā, how many people die every day in Savatthi?" "O Lord, in Savatthi, every day, 10 or 9 people, 5 or 3 or at least 1 person dies. Savatthi is never free from death. If that is the case, will there ever be a day when you do not experience sorrow?" "Lord, it seems that I will live in sorrow every day." The Blessed One gently explained to Visākhā, "Visākhā, those who have 100 loved ones will have 100 sorrows. Those who have 90 loved ones will have 90 sorrows. Those who have 1 loved one will have 1 sorrow, but those who have no loved ones will have no sorrow." The Tathagata says that those who are free from attachment are free from sorrow, free from anxiety, and free from despair. He continued, "Having someone to love and be attached to brings forth suffering. Therefore, those who do not create any attachments to anyone in this world will find peace and freedom from suffering. Those who wish to be free from suffering and impurity should not create attachments to anything in the world." The Anguttara Nikaya records 3 teachings that the Buddha gave in response to Visākhā's requests, both directly and indirectly. One day during the full moon, Visākhā went to the Pubarama monastery and paid her respects to the Buddha. She told him that she was practicing the Uposatha ceremony and dedicated her whole heart to learning the Dharma. In response to her silent request, the Buddha gave a long discourse about the wrong and right ways to observe the Uposatha. The Uposatha of lay people is on the day of taking precepts to spend the day with distracted thoughts attached to the pleasures of the next day. The Uposatha of the ascetic sects is on the day of taking precepts to spread loving kindness to some beings and boast about their celibacy and detachment without true sincerity. The true Uposatha of a noble practitioner is on the day of taking precepts to strictly uphold the 8 precepts contemplate the virtues of the three jewels and meditate on the pure morality of the deities and of oneself. The Buddha compared the glory of a king ruling over 16 great kingdoms to 1/16 of the happiness of a single day of true Uposatha practice. He then spoke about the lifespan and happiness of the deities in the heavenly realms, concluding, "The glory of humans is tiny compared to the happiness of the deities." On another occasion, Visākhā asked the Buddha, "Lord, by achieving how many virtuous deeds can a woman upon the breakdown of her body be reborn as a heavenly nymph, beautiful and endowed with the power to fulfill her wishes?" The Buddha explained 8 virtuous practices that lead to such a blessed rebirth. 1. Always love and be gentle with your husband for his benefit, happiness, and out of compassion for him. 2. Respect, care for, and offer alms to those whom your husband respects, such as your parents-in-law, and virtuous people whom your husband venerates. 3. Be skillful, diligent, and cautious when managing household duties. 4. Understand the capabilities of your servants to supervise them effectively, while also caring for their health and food. 5. Safeguard your husband's wealth and avoid mismanaging his possessions. 6. Take refuge in the 3 jewels. 7. Uphold the 5 precepts. 8. Rejoice in the practice of generosity and the virtue of renunciation. Visākhā's third question concerned the virtues through which a woman can achieve success in this life and the next. The Buddha replied that a woman succeeds in this life by skillfully managing the household, caring for the servants, showing love and respect for her husband, and protecting her husband's wealth. In the next life, a woman succeeds through faith, ethical conduct, generosity, and wisdom. There are also some rules of the monastic community related to Visākhā. For example, a grandson of hers made a vow to become a monk and live a life of chastity. He requested the monks in Savatthi to allow him to join the Sangha. However, this request came during the rainy season, and according to the monastic rules, no ordination could be granted during the 3-month retreat. Therefore, he had to wait until the rainy season was over. But by the time the season ended, he had lost his resolve and no longer wished to ordain. When Visākhā learned of this, she said to the Buddha Lord, "The Dharma is not bound by time. There is never a time when the Dharma cannot be transmitted." In response, the Buddha established a rule that requests for ordination and the reception of precepts should not be denied during the rainy retreat. Once when the Buddha and the monks were invited by Visākhā to her home for alms, she requested that he grant her 8 blessings. The Buddha replied that he would not grant blessings. Visākhā then said that she did not seek anything reprehensible, but only wished for the following 8 virtuous ways of offering to the Sangha. 1. Offering robes for the rainy season. 2. Offering food to newly arrived monks. 3. Offering food to monks about to travel far. 4. Offering medicine to sick monks. 5. Offering food to sick monks. 6. Offering food to monks who are taking care of the sick. 7. Offering rice porridge to monks every morning. 8. Offering robes to nuns who need to bathe in the river. The Buddha asked Visākhā why she requested these specific offerings. She responded with a detailed explanation. 1. The monks only have 3 robes. To preserve them from damage, some monks are forced to walk in the rain with half of their bodies exposed, leading others to mistakenly think they are naked ascetics. Therefore, she wanted to offer robes for the rainy season, vasa robes. 2. Newly arrived monks in Savatthi do not know the city well and find it difficult to receive alms at the proper time. They also have to walk a long way, often exhausted from their journey. Thus, she wished to provide food for them at the proper time and place. 3. For the same reason, she wished to offer food to monks who were about to leave for long journeys, ensuring they had fresh, timely offerings. 4. Sick monks endure great suffering and may even pass away if they lack the proper food. Therefore, she wished to offer food for sick monks. 5. Sick monks also suffer greatly and could die without the right medicine. Therefore, she wished to provide necessary medicines for sick monks. 6. A monk who is caring for a sick monk still has to go out on alms rounds for both himself and the sick monk. Due to their busy schedule, the monks might be late, and both may miss their mealtime. Thus, she requested to offer food to those monks who were caring for the sick. 7. She had heard of the many benefits of consuming rice porridge in the early morning. Therefore, she wanted to offer rice porridge regularly as breakfast for the monks. 8. Nuns also only have 3 robes. It is not suitable for them to bathe in the river without a robe to cover themselves, and this had recently occurred. Therefore, she wanted to offer robes to nuns when they needed to bathe in the river. After Visākhā presented these compassionate offerings, the Buddha asked if she had any spiritual benefit or personal wish from these good deeds. Her response showed her deep understanding of the distinction between merit for others and the spiritual benefits for herself, Lord. According to the annual tradition, after the rainy retreat, monks from different monasteries gather in Savatthi to pay their respects to you. They will ask, "Lord, what happened to monk? Name, where has he gone? How was he reborn?" The Buddha will explain whether that monk attained the state of a Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, or Arahant. I will then ask the visiting monks, "Venerable Sir, did monk name ever visit Savatthi?" If the answer is yes, I will conclude that the monk must have used robes for the rainy season, received food when he arrived, or was about to depart, or received food medicine or care when he was sick. Reflecting on these acts, I will be overjoyed. When I am joyful, I will feel happy. When my heart is filled with joy, my body will become calm. When my body is calm, joy and happiness will overflow, helping my mind to settle. This will lead to the development of mental faculties, spiritual abilities, and enlightenment factors within me. These are the benefits I foresee for myself when I request these 8 blessings from the Buddha. The Blessed One replied, "Well done, Visākhā, well done, Visākhā," requested these 8 blessings because she foresaw the benefits. I grant Visākhā permission to fulfill these requests. Thus, Visākhā, mother of Migara, a model benefactor, cultivated an unwavering pure faith in the 3 jewels, firmly entered the stream of the holy path with the attainment of Sotapanna, and would eventually be reborn in a life full of blessings, ultimately liberating herself from all suffering in the cycle of rebirth. The story of Visākhā is not only a journey of compassion and sacrifice, but also a testament to the power of an open heart and unconditional dedication. Although she was a wealthy and powerful woman, what she gave to the Buddha and the monastic community cannot be measured in money or material wealth. She understood that true happiness does not come from having more, but from giving with sincere love. The great lesson from Visākhā is the understanding that sacrifice and dedication are not losses, but a way to nourish the soul and find a deep joy in helping others. In this life, we sometimes feel challenged when we have to give time or energy to others, especially when we don't receive anything in return immediately. But Visākha's lesson reminds us that giving is truly receiving, not in material terms, but in peace of mind and a deep connection with those around us. Think about the moments in your life when you can give, not just money or material things, but care time or even a sincere word of encouragement. Every small act, when done with an open heart, will make a big difference not only for others, but for yourself as well. Dedication is never in vain, and through every act of love, we will receive true happiness, a happiness that comes from within ourselves. Visākhā taught us that compassion is not just helping others outwardly, but is also a transformation in the way we see the world. Let compassion and sacrifice not only be actions, but also how we live each day, with patience, respect, and love for everyone around us, regardless of circumstances or status. So what will you do today to give and live with compassion? Try to find opportunities to help others, even with small gestures, and see if it brings peace and happiness to you. Thank you for following the story of Visākhā, and don't forget to share your thoughts on the lessons from this story. If you feel that Visākha's story has touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel to continue accompanying us on the journey of discovering profound lessons from Buddhism. Let compassion and sacrifice guide us towards enlightenment and peace in life.